Hey friends, so what have I been doing? No, because I just got like, oh! Hey friends, wow, I feel like it's been an entire age since I was in my kitchen in Bangkok cooking for you guys, like an age since my life was normal. And I know for a lot of you guys, it's the same. We've had a bit of a anxious time, a terrifying time for a lot of people. And I've kind of felt like doing cooking videos was a bit trite or, you know, not really important in the world right now. I'm getting to a place now where I feel like a lot of you have been cooking a whole bunch of stuff and finding a whole lot of joy from some of my cooking videos and recipes. And so I have to thank you. That's kind of inspired me to pick up the tools again and get back in the kitchen. And I'm now in a new place, as you can see behind me. Where am I? Well, the place that I have ended up with my brand new family. Yes, my little boy born only like 6 weeks ago. So we're now a new family of 4. We've found ourselves in a new place, a new kitchen, cooking food that I guess the food I kind of grew up cooking and eating. And I'm hoping to share a lot of that with you guys in my new series. So here we go. Let's take a look. With all the craziness going on in the world right now, it felt like a good time to retreat a little, to bring my little family to a place of simple pleasures. So we left our home of 10 years in Bangkok and we came here for a sunlit winter by the river. I love the water and the sunshine, I always have. And I really wanted to share some of that happiness with you guys. It's time to show you a little of the place where I grew up, Australia. All right, so it is a beautiful sunshine winter day here at the River House, and we're going to be making some ultra comforting, warming food. So I have a very special lemony, spicy garlic prawn risotto. Oh, so unctuously delish. And for something sweet, we're having my family's very favorite 5-spice and ginger apple crumble with ice cream, of course. So we're going to start off with the apple crumble first because I'm going to get that in the oven, just kind of bubbling away while we make the risotto. So I'm doing Granny Smith apples today. You can do whatever apple is kind of local in your area or whatever apples you have sitting in the fridge. I've done these with basically any kind of apple, so don't worry about that. And also you could use frozen fruits, so like frozen raspberries and berries. They're always fun to add as well. All right, so peeling the apples, probably like the most arduous task for this recipe. It's almost like not even cooking this recipe, it's so easy. Now we just want chunks of apple. So nice big chunks. I like my finished crumble to have kind of like some texture to it, not just apple mush. So keep those pieces fairly big. Okay, so just pile that apple into a baking dish. You kind of want that apple to be piled up a little bit over your baking dish because it's going to melt down as it cooks. Now, apple crumble is one of those very typical, like old school Australian English kind of desserts, but you know me, I like to mix it up. I'm going to add some ginger in here. Ginger, like, just the fragrance of it and the, you know, the flavor, food for the soul, definitely. And I like to just peel the skin off with a spoon. And see, that's the thing about Australian food is I think what we do so well is we take, you know, like awesome flavors or ingredients, you know, like ginger or chilies or spices from other countries. We kind of borrow them, put them into our own food, and that's what makes it so special. Now just grate that ginger straight onto the apple. Now some brown sugar and some Chinese 5-spice. Again, a little Asian twist here. And just a pinch of salt here. So salt always in a dessert is going to, you know, like it's going to really bring into focus actually the sweetness, makes it a little bit sharper, a bit more intense. And now just mix all of that through. Now you just want to cover that with some foil, bake in the oven for about 30 minutes or until that apple is really soft and sweet and sticky. So my apple crumble is in the oven and now I'm going to get started on my lemony spicy garlic prawn risotto. This one inspired by these amazing local Mooloolaba ocean prawns. To me, Australia and prawns, they're like 2 peas in a pod, or prawns in a pod, or prawns in a, I don't know, but you get what I mean. Australia, prawns equals amazing stuff. So we're gonna make a risotto here. We're gonna start off with a stock or a broth for the risotto that's a little unusual, again, because you know I like to play with things and add unusual ingredients. Let's go with some chicken stock first of all. Store-bought is totally fine here, guys. No need to be too much of a hero. Now I want some spring onion as well. You know, I'm often adding spring onion into my stocks and broths because I always have some like lying in the bottom of the crisper that I always like to use up. And I'm just gonna snip those straight in. And some star anise. Always star anise, that beautiful kind of background flavor in a broth is so seductive, I think. And now here comes some extra flavoring ingredients. I want a really good dash of fish sauce here. So you could also just add salt here if you wanted to. I add the fish sauce because the fish sauce is not just salty, but it also has a savory umami flavor that really kind of kicks everything off. And then some Chinese cooking wine as well. Really, this is all about some extra fragrance and some extra interest, but I know a lot of you like to keep your cooking alcohol free, so just like use a little dash of maybe like apple juice or pineapple juice to add some extra kind of oomph to the stock. Now just bring that to a little simmer, and I kind of just want that to bubble away and infuse only for about 15 minutes or so. All right, so while I've got my broth kind of infusing over there, I'm gonna get my crumble topping done. And again, this couldn't be any easier. You just want some plain flour. Now, I always like to include a nut in this one. You could do flaked almonds, you could do walnuts, you could do pecans. That's pecans to my American friends. Don't at me in the comments with the pronunciation. That's just the way we say it here in Australia. And then I also want some vanilla extract in here. I've got vanilla paste, vanilla bean paste, so I'm using that, but just a little bit of vanilla. Again, just a little pinch of salt here. Now to get all of that kind of crumbly, I want some butter. So I've got some melted butter, and pour that straight in. Now just give that a mix, and we're kind of looking for like a kind of pebbly wet sand kind of texture. All right, so I think my apples might be done. I'm gonna go check. All right, so that is smelling truly amazing. The ginger and the 5 spice and the apple, oh, so comforting. Baked apples. Okay, so you can see we've got some nice chunky bits here still, which is good. I kind of want to keep some of that apple integrity. And now get our crumbly mixture on top. All right, now I'm going to pop this onto a baking tray lined with some paper just because it tends to kind of bubble over sometimes, and I don't like cleaning my oven. I'm sure you don't either. Now that goes back into the oven another 30 minutes or until we've kind of got like a nice golden color on the top. So while my apple crumble is in the oven, let's get started on our lemony garlic prawn risotto. Okay, first up I need some extra virgin olive oil. And I'm gonna go in with some butter as well. Now once that's gotten a little bit melty, I'm gonna add in some onion. Now I've got this on a really gentle heat because I just want to persuade those onions to get a little soft and sweet. I don't want any color on them at all. And I'm just going to add a little pinch of salt as well, just to kind of help with that sweetening process. Okay, a few minutes and these onions are good to go. They're looking nice and soft here. Now I'm going to add in my rice. Now you want to be using a risotto rice here, and there are a few different varieties. The most common is arborio, so that's what I'm using today. The key though is that you want to give it a really good toasting in this oil and butter mixture. I mean, you know, I'm going to sit here and just kind of toss it around in here for a good 5 minutes on that gentle heat, because again, I don't want any color on that onion. I know I'm being really pedantic, but it's rice. And the one thing that I can agree on, you know, the one thing us Asians can agree on with the Italians is that rice, very important, and very important the way it's cooked. It's got to be cooked perfectly. So the devil is in the detail. All right, so what's happening here is that each little grain, as it toasts, is getting a nice little protective shell on the outside. And that means it won't kind of fall apart too much. It won't kind of get all soggy. It's going to maintain its beautiful integrity at the end. So there you go. Not too food nerdy, just a little bit, but you know, it's good to know why you're doing these things. Looking good. Now we're going to add our Chinese cooking wine, and yes, you know, typically you would add white wine here if you were doing this the classic Italian way, but I really like the flavour of this. You could just use white wine as well, so up to you. And you could also leave it out, up to you as well. All right, so the idea here is that every time we add liquid, so starting with the wine and then we're going to move into the stock, but every time we want to allow the rice to kind of soak it up before we add the next bit of liquid. And again, that's because we don't want to overwhelm our little rice grains. They're, you know, very particular about the way they like their liquids added. Okay, so that's looking quite dry in there. You can see the wine's evaporated. And so time to add in our beautiful broth that we've had simmering away. All right, so there are so many different ways on the internet to cook risotto, no stirring, in the oven, all sorts of stuff. You know what, I just like the stirring. I think that it agitates those grains enough that you're kind of starting to get some starchiness and creaminess. You know, and I quite like kind of standing here and tending to my risotto as it cooks. So just keep that stock going in a ladleful at a time until we get something really lush. Stay with me, guys. All right, we're nearly good, guys. See how we're getting a lot of that kind of creamy, starchy goodness in there? It's looking really good. Now, in the recipe I've gone for, which is what I usually do, I do 1 cup of rice and then I always have about 4 cups of liquid on the side here. Different grains of rice, different types of rice will need more or less, but if you've got your 4 cups sitting there, you should be good to go. Just, might not need to use all of it, just as a word of warning. So this is the point where we start to get really luscious. I mean, we're going to go in with some butter now. And now I also want some Parmesan cheese. So for me, it's this last part of the risotto making stage that really sort of makes the entire thing. This is where we get the lusciousness, the creaminess, the cheesiness, and all that good stuff. All right, so time to add the lemony part. The reason why you want to do this at the end is that you want to keep that really bright sunshine lemon pop, and you don't want to simmer it for too long because then you kind of lose that. All right, let's just see how we're going here. Oh, look at how shiny and luscious that looks. Perfect. Each little grain is still separate, but the whole thing on a whole is still creamy. And you've got the beautiful like pop of lemon. So guys, this is a really great pantry style risotto that you can leave on its own. So you don't have to do the prawn topping, but because I have beautiful prawns, let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so just a bit of garlic to start with. And now in a separate pan to your risotto, I want some extra virgin olive oil and the garlic, and get those prawns in there, and then a little pinch of chili. Okay, always when there's garlic and prawns sizzling, so good, look at that. Now I just want to season this a little with some soy sauce, and they, I mean, could not look any more gorgeous. Look at that. And now we are ready to get all of this together on the plate. All right, so my risotto rice has had a few minutes to rest while I was doing the prawns, which I quite like because I think it kind of helps the flavors really make really good friends in there and really start to intensify. So what you might need to do is thin it out with a little bit of stock. Mine's looking pretty good. The texture of a risotto should always be loose. It should be loose and kind of fall into the plate, if you know what I mean. I'll show you. Let's go. See that plate jiggle? The risotto should just collapse like that. Perfect. Now, prawns on top. And then don't even think about wasting that garlic oil. I want lots of that goodness drizzled on top. And then a little sprinkling of some greenery. I've just got some parsley here. So there you go, friends. Risotto, not really very traditional. I guess you would say we've done it the Marion way, but let me just make sure that it tastes good for you, because that's the important part, right? Do you know what is great about that? Is that the rice grains beautifully just like al dente, but the overall finish is creamy and luscious and buttery and cheesy and lemony all in one. I mean, can you ask for anything better than that? All right, let me get into some of these prawns. And now with that pop of the prawn, the sweet prawn. So obviously you could use whatever shrimp or prawn is local in your area, but wow, I wish you guys could taste these Mooloolaba prawns. They are, like the texture is perfect and just a really sweet prawn flavour. All right, so time for dessert. Now, I took my apple crumble out of the oven when it was nice and golden, and I've had it sitting down and resting. The great thing with apple crumble is it is a good one to make a little in advance, because straight out of the oven it's too soft, it's too loose. Now it will be the perfect texture. Oh wow, it smells so good. Now I want a nice heaping spoonful here. And then for me, it's got to be vanilla ice cream, but even just some fresh cream or any other flavour that you like is good too. And there you go, doesn't that just make your heart melt? It makes mine melt anyway. The beautiful apple and the ice cream. All right, let me just make sure this tastes as good as it usually does. Do you know what I love about this is it's not too sweet, so it's not cloying. You've just got this beautiful fresh apple flavour, a little bit of that spice and the ginger, and then that really nice nutty buttery topping. Desserts like this, which are uber easy and just always win, they're kind of like the go-tos in my kitchen. Yum. Challenge him, are gonna love this.